Our next question, Jim, was sent in to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Joe in Boston. And he sent this in just under 2 weeks ago, 11 days ago, as we are recording. 35 years ago yesterday was Black Saturday.
Oh, my God.
Can Jim share his memories of how he first heard about it? What was his reaction? And where did he think it would take the business?
Well, I first heard about it when it happened, and we were in Mid-South, so obviously I wasn't watching the television. I was in a car in a locker room somewhere, whatever the fuck, but I was mortified because this was obviously not fucking good. Not only to lose one of the great wrestling shows, but for the NWA to lose that exposure. For the Atlanta office, we didn't know at the time that Crockett was going to end up, owning the whole thing. So we're like, oh my God, Georgia Championship Wrestling is fucked. And, we looked, at least me and Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey in the fucking car, we liked some of the guys that were in New York, but we looked at that shit and was like, we hope this does not spread. Because Vince was already getting goofy. It wasn't as goofy as it would get, but it was already getting goofy. But yeah, no, it was not good. Not good. But then when we heard the next spring, when we were in Dallas, that Crockett had bought the time slot, and we knew we had a standing offer to go to work for Jim Crockett whenever we were finished in Dallas. And that's about the same time, I swear to God, as we got that Texas Stadium payoff, $1,150 fucking piece, I believe it was, whatever the fuck, and said, fuck it. And we called Jimmy Crockett. So it was great a year later, but it was bad news to hear in 1984.
JYD would jump a few weeks later after... Again, Bobby Fulton said on 605, he was saying, we got to get ready for the war. We got to get ready for Vince. And then he jumped to Vince.
Yeah.
Were there rumors in the locker room, in the heel locker room? Because Mid-South, of course, had two different locker rooms. In the heel locker room, were there rumors about guys in the other locker room or anyone you were in there with being the next guy, being someone who's going to jump? Because it seemed like so many guys, one after another, some even for just short periods of time, like Buzz Sawyer, were jumping up to the WWF.
Well, Buzz was not in Mid-South at that time. So, right. Yeah. But, just to clarify, I'm trying to think, I don't remember because anybody specifically being rumored to be next because everybody was kind of offended. Of course, we were in the heel locker room, but sometimes every once in a while there was a building where everybody was together and could be together without the building. See, that was the thing. You got to understand. We weren't just in separate locker rooms because the fans could see that we were in separate rooms. We weren't allowed to be in the same locker room, unless the building people could be prevented from seeing that we were both in the same locker room, even the building staff. So it had to be that fucking strict. But there was still a few buildings where you could be back and forth, and everybody was hot at dog for bailing on us, right? And at least that's what they were saying publicly. Nobody was admitting it. Of course, what I'm trying to think, I think it was Jake. Jake may have been the one when he went, they called his fucking house and the answering machine was dun, 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 start spreading the news. Which I tend to believe because when I couldn't find him, when he fucking bailed and no-showed on me, as a Smoky Mountain champion, I called his fucking house and his answering machine said, I have become comfortably numb.
So Jay communicates through his answering machine.
Yes. And better than he did verbally, since you couldn't find him.
Well, our next question, Jim, was sent in via email to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Dominic. My name is Dominic from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
I've heard that rumor.
My question is, what are your thoughts on the horrible, terrible, absolutely dreadful WWF talk show Tuesday Night Titans, hosted by Vince McMahon? Obviously, Dominic has his own very strong thoughts on this.
That's what I was talking about. As soon as I saw that shit, I'm like, oh my fucking God. That's when I realized that we were really it was a war for fucking wrestling because everybody says, oh, I love the people on Twitter also. I say, well, you hate All Elite, or you hate all this modern wrestling, so keep watching your WWE. Like I've really been in love with them either. Even when I was there and part of it, I was sometimes embarrassed. But no, it was the fucking boys are funny. At least a lot of them back then were, when the guys still had personalities, because they'd came up from the territories and they'd been in locker rooms, not playing video games on the goddamn internet and fucking not speaking to anybody. But anyway, I digress. And that would have been funny shit if it was in the locker room. But it was making the business silly even then, which is where Vince was going, as we all know. And so I hated it from the start. And I thought it was bad. The same thing with Glow. I'm sorry, everybody. No, Glow is such a hit. No, Glow was a parody in the 80s of wrestling, and it was embarrassing, and everybody couldn't. When I would say to the boys, oh God, they got that fucking Glow on in Charlotte now, this is not going to be good for business, they'd say, it's fucking girls and it's not the same thing. No, the thing is, some of the moves, a few of them looked as good as what the guys were doing on the NWA program. And how can one thing be legit and the other thing be a parody when they look so fucking close? I knew that was bad. And I hated it when Vince started doing the Tuesday Night Titan shit and all the funny skits and everything, because that was showing in Charlotte. That was showing in Greensboro. That was showing in Mid-South. That was showing wherever we were trying to do the real shit. And I knew it wouldn't be good. From the start, when I was 23 years old, I was able to discern this because I had the ability of cognitive function. And as history has shown, it wasn't good. It kept going further and further and further until the people that grew up thinking that was the good shit are in charge. And then it's gone further and further. This is what has happened. It started 35 years ago with Vince. People have run off and passed him since then in the silly scale. But it started there. It had never been done or allowed before in the business. And I've been telling people for 35 years where it was going to end up. And all of my prophecies have come true.